We cannot have people on benefits for no productivity, make millionaires and billionaires an offer, and fund all the affordable housing that we need. The whole income tax system needs a total overhaul. Clearly, not everyone on benefits is weak or vulnerable. There are some very doable things that people in government could do to ease the cost of living crisis. In simple terms, all you need to do is come up with some policies that create deflationary pressure for households and businesses. The welfare state makes payments to pensioners, the disabled and the unemployed, and Labour, for reasons that I cannot understand, have gone after the pensioners and the disabled. Instead, go after the unemployed. I am not lacking compassion. However, there is just a very, very simple argument to say we cannot have people on benefits for no productivity when you look at the numbers. And the numbers are simple. We have a population of 68 million people, 33 million people of working age, 12.5 million pensioners. When you've only got 2.5 people of working age for every pensioner, you then can't have 1 in 10 of people of working age on long-term sickness benefits. You can't have even more dependents in a state which has lots of dependents already. Therefore, I recommend we introduce something similar to President Roosevelt's public work schemes that he did in the USA in the 1930s. The mantra is very simple. You have to give some level of productivity in order to receive your benefits. So, single people under the age of 40, they need to be trained up on plate compactors, and then we need to redo all of the roads in this country. That would cause a lot less congestion and increase productivity. Secondly, they need to be fruit picking in the east of England in summer. If you want lower immigration, or British people damn will have to get off their backsides and do all the jobs around here that need doing. And thirdly, they can be litter picking. Our public places are absolutely overrun with litter. If they're doing litter picking, that then alleviates pressure off the councils to do litter picking and therefore reduces the costs for the councils, and the councils will hopefully not run up so much debt or asked to increase council taxes. Single parents. Single parents are busy. However, for the majority of them, they could work in care homes between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. This wouldn't interrupt their family life because they're taking their children to school, and could also have huge knock-on benefits. If there was more labour within the care sector, we could get people who've been in care homes, who've been in hospital, out of hospital quicker and back to care homes, and therefore make the NHS also work more efficiently. People over the age of 50 should be provided with some wasteland that they then have to turn into an allotment. Having an allotment, they would then produce produce that they could have themselves, and therefore they would be partially self-sufficient in terms of providing their weekly food shop. You could also set them a nice task that any excess produce they have, they could set up a little business and then sell that produce. Whenever people talk about cutting the size of the welfare state, there are of course always people who say that you're picking on the most vulnerable and the weakest in society. Unfortunately, there's evidence to suggest that very clearly not everyone on benefits is weak or vulnerable. In May 2024, we saw the case where 5 Bulgarians had committed £50 million worth in universal credit fraud. Therefore, with such a high level of fraud going on, the argument saying that simply cutting benefits is hurting the weakest and most vulnerable in society, unfortunately, is not valid. Introduce a 5% level of income tax on second jobs up to £5,000. The whole income tax system needs a total overhaul and provides so many disincentives to work at so many levels. People on lower incomes need second jobs. However, they already get taxed at 20%. That needs to be reduced to 5%. And then think, so many people now are paying 40% tax because the Conservative and the Labour governments have frozen the income tax thresholds. So therefore, you have people paying 40% who have children, they've got families, they need a second job. They can't then, in the evenings or at weekends, get a minimum wage job and pay 42% marginal tax on that. It's ridiculous. So up to £5,000, middle income people can get a second job at a minimum wage and only pay 5% income tax. You place a cap on how much income they can earn at this lowered income tax so that it's not open to a lot of abuse. When you pay £1.36 per litre on petrol or diesel, you are paying 70p for petrol, 52.95 pence in fuel duty in tax, and 14 pence VAT. 66p of every £1.36 you pay on petrol is in tax. Therefore, cut fuel duty by 36p per litre. Immediately, petrol or diesel would be £1 per litre tomorrow, and then just your basic functions such as going to work, doing the school run, going to the supermarket to do your shopping would become a lot cheaper. Let's motivate millionaires and billionaires to stay in the UK and fund all the affordable housing that we need. Make millionaires and billionaires an offer that they can sell their foreign assets, such as US tech stocks, and only pay a very, very low level of capital gains tax, as long as the proceeds of that sale then go into affordable housing in the UK. You then offer them a nice return in the shape of dividends from the rental income from the affordable housing, and people on low incomes reduce the cost of living because you have so much more affordable housing available to them that you're getting wealthy people to fund. By implementing these 4 very doable things, you would immediately have a huge impact on solving the cost of living crisis. People on lower incomes would have affordable homes to live in. People working 2 jobs would have a higher level of disposable income. It would be a lot cheaper just to do simple things such as going to work, doing the school run, or driving to the supermarket to do your weekly shop. And the size of the welfare state would undeniably be reduced due to the fact that you're asking for productivity in exchange for benefits. I am sure there'd be a behavioural response and more people currently on benefits would get into work, and so therefore the size of the welfare state would be reduced and there'd be less pressure on taxing the middle class and the working class so much.